What it do, baby? We are live. I'm live at my house in downtown Montreal. My buddy, my partner from RDS, you follow him on Instagram and on Twitter, Facebook, the Yohann Benson golf community that is growing in big numbers. He is live. We watched him on RDS do his live stand-up at Bay Hill last week. We'll talk about that and the slick greens and what to expect. The fifth major, it is the Players' Championship. Yohann Benson covering it live for RDS. You can follow all his live streams on his Instagram channel. Yohann, welcome back to In the Car with Starr. How's it going, buddy?
I'm doing great. With you can see behind me, it's pretty hard to complain.
Yeah, not bad. I got decided to put on my my Augusta Polo today. I was there in 2019. I know you'll be there for the first major of the PGA Tour season coming up in April. But yeah, let's talk about the Florida swing. How's that going? Who's going well? Who isn't going well? Clearly, we saw Scottie Scheffler win the Waste Management Open in Phoenix. Follows that up with an impressive, who saw that coming, performance at Bay Hill. What do you make of the hottest golfer going right now in Scottie Scheffler, Yohann?
Well, Scottie made a big change recently in his team. He hired Ted Scott as his caddy. Started at the beginning of this year. Ted Scott was the longtime caddy for Bubba Watson. So having someone with a lot of experience and major wins like Ted Scott really proved to be instrumental so far in Scottie Scheffler's young career, but in 2022. And then we started the Florida swing 2 weeks ago at the Honda Classic. Unfortunately, a very weak field at the Honda Classic since Riviera was a week before. Guys were in LA, and there's just so many big events. Then we had Bay Hill. We have the Players' Championship this week. We have the Valspar next week at Innisbrook that Adam Hadwin won a few years ago. That's another strong test. So there's a lot of good golf courses. So even Corey Connors took Honda Classic off, and he lives 5 minutes from PGA National. You just have to take some breaks from time to time. There's just too many big events right now, especially with the match play coming up too. So guys just need to rest, and they unfortunately have to take big events off the schedule.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of congestion, right? I mean, the Arnold Palmer Invitational is a big one. The Players' Championship, where Yohann is broadcasting live from. Behind him is the Island Green 17 TPC Sawgrass in Ponte Vedra, Florida. There it is.
Yeah, now. And we have Scottie Scheffler is actually coming on the green, and we have Bubba Watson. And who else is in that group? Russell Henley and Webb Simpson. I was lucky enough, as you know, I know all the guys, so I was lucky enough. I walked 4 or 5 holes with them. So we talked about the victory last week, and they were all saying how tough Bay Hill was last week.
Yeah, so let's talk about that for a second. Obviously Rory McIlroy, Billy Horschel, those were my 2 picks before the tournament started on Thursday to win at Bay Hill at the Arnie. I didn't really have Scottie Scheffler on the radar, and I didn't expect Rory McIlroy, and he had a lot of company. Man, those guys had to grind, and some of them didn't grind well enough to stay in the mix, to stay on the front page of the leaderboard. What did you make of the course setup? Was it unfair, or did they set it up appropriately for a tough tournament to win?
The fact that I know the course really well, it was an unfair, setup because, Sean, the greens are just too flat, and they're not deep enough. They're too shallow. And it's a 7,400-yard golf course with a lot of dog legs, a lot of water, as you saw in the telecast. So guys are coming in with 7, 6, and 5 irons into these par 4s, and the greens are just too flat. They're like tabletops. And when they're running at 13 and 14 like they were this weekend and brick hard, it's not fair because the guys can't hit the green, period. And then they grew the rough to a length that we've never seen before at Bay Hill. And just a little insight, the reason the rough was so long at Bay Hill is that even at Bay Hill, they're struggling with manpower. They didn't have enough employees to cut the rough and manicure the course like they used to, or like they do week in or year in and year out at Bay Hill. They just didn't have the proper manpower. So they concentrated on the greens, on the fairways, and on the tees, and they just let the rough grow to a length where it was basically unplayable. You just had to pitch out. And those greens were just simply too hard. You can't have the greens that hard at Bay Hill because they're too flat and the ball bounces. Either you need a perfect shot to enter the green, so you need to land really on the front number of the green. And if you miss, there's always a bunker in front, and the bunkers at Bay Hill are very steep, so your ball plugs all the time. So there's a little unfairness in the way they did the setup for Bay Hill last week, and that's why guys were complaining. But it made for great. I was in the locker room, luckily enough, on Sunday with the guys, and I mean the bartender was really busy, and the guys were just telling horror stories, and it was hilarious to hear all the doubles and triples, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. But it's just not that. It's not a course that you can have greens at 14 and brick hard with long rough, because there's too many hazards, there's too many water holes, and there's like I said, the flatness of the greens is just unfair when it's that firm.
Did you think overall though that Rory was right when he said he had no problem, finding himself in trouble and trying to navigate himself out of trouble? But how much truth was behind his comment that he felt that he wasn't being rewarded for a good shot? Do you think that was fair? Did the course set itself up that way where it was totally unfair for a lot of guys?
But he's absolutely right in the way he said it. Where Rory struggled, so the first round he was very accurate off the tee, and then he started spraying it. So that's where he faltered, and he was always in the rough, hacking it out, trying to put it on the front of the green. But he's absolutely right. Like I just said, you could be in the middle of the fairway 180 yards away with a 7-iron or a 6-iron for most guys, and they can't get the height required to stop the ball on the green. That's when it becomes unfair, when a vast majority, and just for example, the second hole is a par 3 with a dead flat green. It's about 215 yards with a bunker in front and a bunker behind, and the green's not deep enough. So guys had the choice. Either they missed the green short, which they all did. Nobody hit the green on Sunday on number 2 or on number 17.
Right.
You just couldn't hit that green with a long club.
And you started with a bogey on 1, so your day was already off to a bad start to begin with, right?
Correct. The only holes you could score were the par 5s, because most of them were downwind. And even the 6th hole, the horseshoe par 5 around the pond, the one that Bryson drove it across the pond basically last year, that hole, the tee shot was downwind, and the fairway was so firm that no one could hit the fairway. Everyone was landing in the fairway, but then because you have to carry it over the lake, but where you had to carry it because it was downwind, you couldn't stop it before the long rough. So it was a little over the top as far as condition went last week.
Yohann Benson joining us live from TPC Sawgrass, the Players Championship, a.k.a. the 5th major. 144 players in the field, top 65 in ties, make the cut with a total purse of $20 million. First place, cashing a check, $3.6 million. You finish last place, you're making $43,000. Have you seen the price of gas? How someone can live on $43,000 is beyond me, Yohann. I'll talk about that with you in a second. But first, you need to tell me who Ryan Brehm is and what he did that has everybody in awe at Puerto Rico last weekend.
So there was an off-site event, obviously, when there's usually it's when there's a WGC, or like the Barbasol Championship is during the British Open. So it's to offer a chance to play for players that are not well established on the PGA Tour. And then so Ryan Brehm, an absolute journeyman's been on tour for a while, has been bouncing back and forth between the Korn Ferry Tour and the PGA Tour, and he was thinking that he was only going to get to play the Korn Ferry Tour this year, but the field was so weak in Puerto Rico that he got the call that he can play Puerto Rico, and he's playing on the PGA Tour. He's playing on a minor medical exemption, meaning he had an injury in the past, and because of the time off he had to take, then you have a certain amount of events to make certain amount of money, and he was down to his last event. He had to win to keep his card, and he did in brilliant fashion with his wife Chelsea on the bag. And Ryan lost his mom last year, so it was a really, really emotional. I saw him. He's here this week because of his win. Not only he's in this week's Players Championship, but he's going to be in Hawaii. He doesn't get to play the Masters because it's an off-field event, so he doesn't have the. It's not counted as a regular season win. You don't get the 500 points. You only get 200 points or 300 points, I think, on the FedEx Cup. but he's still, I mean, he's set for 2 years now, this season plus 2 years.
Wild.
And it's just such a great win for such a nice guy, Michigan native, big hockey guy, played his golf at Michigan State. And just a class act. And for once, a good thing happened. It could not have happened to a better guy.
Yohann Benson joining us at the Players Championship. He's right behind him. You can see him right behind is the Island Green 17 at TPC Sawgrass.
Yeah,
it was interesting. You could follow Yohann on his Instagram and Twitter channels. He does a great job of giving us access beyond the ropes. Taylor Pendrith, Corey Connors, the list goes on of PGA Tour stars, superstars that you get to see up close. If you're like me and you love dissecting swings, Johann's Instagram channel is a must follow for anybody that calls themselves a golf fan. I couldn't help but notice at the API, the Arnold Palmer Invitational at Bay Hill, our friend, your friend, I call him my friend too, because I want to be friends with him, the Sprinkler. I saw the Sprinkler, Johnny Hoobs, Johnny Huberdeau, the Florida Panthers superstar, coming off a big 6-1 win over the Sabres the other night. You guys playing a little cornhole? I saw a little cornhole activity going on there. What was going on,
that was actually at the Honda Classic.
Right.
They had so that's two weekends ago. Jonathan played. He had a 12:30 game in the afternoon against the Oilers, and then they didn't play till Thursday. So Jonathan, Aaron Ekblad, and two other teammates, I got them tickets for the Honda Classic, and then Huberdeau came out, and he's a golf nut. He's a member at Le Mirage, where I'm the pro there. And, his nickname is the Sprinkler. I nicknamed him the Sprinkler because you have absolutely no idea where it's going to go. But he's a golf nut. He loves it. And, he got to meet some of the guys, which he was really impressed. And then it's funny how...
Did they know him, Yohann? When you introduced him, did any of the tours know him?
A lot of the tour guys, not the Southerners aren't really hockey fans, but most guys from the North knew him. Hubbard, who I caddied for, knew exactly who he was because I took Mark to a hockey game the Tuesday of that week. We went and saw the Predators play the Panthers, and so that was a lot of fun. Derek Ingram was with us, Team Canada's golf coach.
Yep.
So we had a good time there. And then, it's just fun. It's just fun to see one of the best hockey players in the world in my element. Like I always go and see him in his element because I've been to quite a few games this winter since I'm so close to him. But it's nice to finally be able to return the favor and bring him in my element with the PGA Tour.
Awesome. Let's get into the Players Championship for a second. Some thoughts on some winners, maybe who we can see contend. It's a field of 144 players, top 65 in ties, make the cut into the weekend. Playing over 7,100 yards. It's a par 72 course at TPC Sawgrass with the infamous Island 17 green. Justin Thomas won this last year, 14 under. We didn't have a winner in 2020 because of the pandemic. Rory won this at 16 under in 2019. So let's talk about how this course is set up. You're there. What can you tell us how you think this course is going to play Thursday through Sunday, Yohann?
It's going to play hard. Not only we're going to have weather issues, we're going to have quite a bit of rain. It's supposed to get quite cool, even we're in Florida. It's going to get to, close to 10 or 12 Celsius on Sunday. Sunday's the only sunny day predicted this week. The rough is absolutely outrageous.
Oh, wow. Worse than Bay Hill?
Yes. It's very, very thick, very lush. And with the rain, it's going to make it even harder. So I think the most important things this week is going to be to hit it and play. So it doesn't mean like it's a bomber that's going to win the golf tournament. It's going to be someone who's quite precise because the greens, I know they have the sub-air system. So they have that system like Augusta National where you can basically suck the moisture out of the green. So it's just a pump system that's under the golf course. So they'll obviously activate that this week to keep the course as firm as they can. But even with the rain, it's going to be a key is going to be to hit a lot of fairways. And they're quite narrow because of the lines with the rough and all that. So there's going to be, I would be surprised, to be honest, if double-digit under par wins. It would be 4 really good rounds of golf to get double-digit because the rough is just so long and penal. And not only that, but we're expecting quite a bit of wind and quite a bit of rain. and guys that played last week left a lot of energy there just because it was so hard at Bay Hill.
Well, yeah, you heard some guys talk about that. Some of them regretted maybe going to Arnie because there's $20 million on the line here at the Players Championship. Almost $4 million, $3.6 million goes to the winner. Interesting, you talk about the weather and how that might impact the bottom line on Sunday. When Siwoo Kim won in 2017, he won at 10 under. That's the lowest score we've seen like in the last 8 years. When Tiger won it, he won it at 13 under par. And as we said earlier, JT won it last year at 14 under, right? So it'll be curious to see how that sets up. And what about then when we look at the setup of the Players Championship, strokes gained by approach, bogey avoidance, par fours gained. You talk about the wind. How do you think that sets up for someone like Jon Rahm, who's had some troubles trying to stay competitive? Obviously, he missed that 10-inch putt. Everybody was made note of that last week. What do you think about his game, where it's at, and can he contend at the Players?
He can definitely contend, but like I said, it's going to be, the key is to drive it in the fairway, especially with the windy conditions. There's a lot of holes here, and we're going to have the wind's going to come. It's not going to be one consistent wind direction because of the temperature change in the next 4 days, or in the 4 days that the event's going to be played. We're going to have wind directions that are going to be changing. We're going to have them from the north on Sunday. They're predicted from the east, Thursday, Friday. So basically all the notes that they're taking right now on the course, they're basically going to have to go day by day and adjust because it's just going to be so different from day to day. But like I said, and it's going to be really important to keep it in play because the rough is just brutal. And the greens here are so small that you have to come in from the fairway on most of the holes. If not, you're just going to be in trouble.
Do you like anybody? You like anyone to single out maybe that we should pay attention to, and maybe with a shot at seeing them in the winner's circle on Sunday?
I mean, from what I watched yesterday and last week, I think Corey Connors has got a great chance because he hits it so straight. He's really dialed in right now with his irons, and he drives it good. And it's not really a course where it's a ball strikers course. It's not a course like Augusta National, for example, where good putters are going to win. Here, you really have to go. You really have to hit it well because you got to hit it close when you're in the fairway, and you got to hit the fairway first and foremost. So a guy like Connors or any Scheffler, I know he won last week, but he's a world-class ball striker. So that's what I'm looking for, is a guy that, is going to hit the most fairways and the most greens, because the greens aren't overly difficult because they're so small. If you hit it in the middle of every green, you'll have a 20-footer at most. So
have you played this course?
Many times, yeah.
What are you hitting on 17, Yohann?
It depends. I've hit anything between a wedge to an 8-iron. So when it's a north wind, you have it straight in your face. So that's really scary. When you have to chip an 8 or chip a 9, it's a pretty easy. It's a pretty, but there's going to be one pin on top. There's usually one on the bottom left, which is the hole-in-one pin that we see basically every year. There's one with a forward tee. So if it's not too windy, it's only a pitching wedge. But it's just the green. The green is basically dissected in 3 areas: the bottom left, the top center, and the bottom right, which is a Sunday pin. And to hit the right area can be quite challenging if it's windy.
So I could tell you, I could totally see myself trying to hit a knockdown 8 and just hooking that right into the water, far left, right. I could totally see myself. Every time I try to hit a knockdown, it's an automatic hook every time I do it, right? Jon Rahm, Colin Morikawa, looking for a high-end talent that I think could win this week. I like Cameron Smith a lot and Patrick Cantlay. There are a couple of players I think that have a shot. I like Adam Hadwin too, as far as like a little bit of a long shot, seeing where his game's at. But as Yohann just finished telling us, weather will be a factor in the 4 days on the wind, active weather, and then hopefully we get some sun and some low scores so these guys can fire some darts at the pins on Championship Sunday. So very much looking forward to that. Looking forward to following you online, Yohann. People can follow you on Instagram. How do we find you on Instagram, Yohann?
It's my name, Yohann Benson, and then I have obviously my Facebook community. You just find me. It's Yohann Benson's Golf Community. That's where I share most of the insight, and people can really have a lot of fun with especially the inside the ropes video that I'm able to. I'm so fortunate to know the guys, and they let me walk with them inside the ropes. So it's a lot of fun, and then I'll be on RDS starting Thursday. I'd say 2 to 3 times a day during the golf coverage.
Sure.
Just a wrap up on how the course is playing, and who did what, and basically just little insights here and there.
Well, I'll tell you, and you'll be on the TSN 690 morning show with myself and Connor McKenna Friday at 8:05 from TPC. And I love the photo, and I texted you this the other day. Your young boy with yourself and Ricky Fowler. And I got to tell you, man, I'm curious quickly your perspective watching the Arnold at Bay Hill on TV, and the camera shows Ricky Fowler on the screen, and I see 6 over par. I'm glad he made it to the weekend, but 6. I mean, his game, he's lost it. Yohann, is he going to get it back?
Well, just the fact that he made the cut at Bay Hill was quite a good. And he made the cut at the Honda, which is another hard cut to make because it's a tough golf course. All 4 courses in Florida, when you think about it, all four tournaments in Florida, if you shoot 2 under a day, you might win all 4. So you'll definitely top 5 in all 4. So they're just so hard, all 4 courses in Florida. So the fact that he makes the cut means that his ball striking is actually pretty good. And then last week, if you were just mentally drained a little bit, I mean, we got Paul Casey shot 83, I think, on Sunday. You have Troy Merritt who shot 87 on Sunday. That's just guys mentally packing it in, and Ricky didn't do that. He was licking his wounds after I saw him in the locker room on Sunday. But I think he's got a newborn at home. Things are changing in his life, but he still has a desire to play well. He still works hard, and he'll find it again. It's just people go through. I mean, Jordan Spieth went through a little slump like that. Paul Casey went through a horrible slump. Lee Westwood. So, I mean, Ricky's still very young. Sure. He's early 30s, and
that's a great point. And remember, Bernard Longer, I think, had the shanks like 3 times, or the yips.
Correct.
I think the yips 3 separate times. What a game. So, c'est tout mental, hein, mon gars?
It is. It's very hard between the ears, and it's, it's just as long as he keeps his card and he's such a loyal guy. He's got the same team around him. Joe Scover on his caddy. He's been there forever.
I love that.
But he's such a great, it's a shame that he's not here this week because he's such a great ambassador for the game. And he's always been really gracious with me. I caddied in his group quite a few times. That's why we know each other. He was very gracious with my son Wyatt. Same thing with Rory McIlroy last week. That's who Wyatt wanted to follow. So we followed Rory all day after I got done with RDS, and Rory could not have been nicer. We actually walked with Rory's dad, Jerry, who follows him around quite a bit. Jerry lives in Palm Beach Gardens, member at Seminole. Jerry is.
I wonder how he got in there. Amazing.
Yeah, no, he probably paid his dues, but he knows people for sure.
Yeah.
But that family are such class act that I mean, they are so nice. It's annoying.
I love that. And I love Rory. I love how honest he is. I love that he asks, journalists like Yohann, ask me a tough question. Ask me about the Saudi group. I want to talk about it. I love that from athletes. And I'm never going to crush a guy, whether it's on a podcast or on the radio, for speaking honestly and openly. It's what we want, right? So I love it. Looking forward to following your coverage all week. Enjoy it. Look forward to seeing you on RDS. And don't forget, Yohann will be on the radio, TSN 690, with myself and Connor McKenna Friday at 8:05. Yohann, thanks so much for joining us live from TPC today. I know I can speak for all the people that watch this live. We really appreciate it. Thanks, man.
You got it.